There are moments in life when the stillness of night speaks louder than the noise of day. When the world is asleep and all distractions are silent, heaven leans a little closer. If you've ever found yourself awake between 3 and 5 in the morning with no reason that makes sense, I want you to know it's not a coincidence. It's not just a restless body or a wandering thought. Is the Spirit of the living God gently waking you, stirring your soul, whispering an invitation that only your spirit can hear? So many dismiss it, roll over, and miss the divine appointment. But in those quiet, sacred hours, eternity touches earth. That's when burdens are lifted, healing begins, and answers are whispered into hearts that are finally still enough to listen. God does not wake you in the dark to scare you. He wakes you to speak with you, to draw you into the deepest intimacy, where faith is not loud but real, and where your destiny begins to shift. Don't you know that many of the greatest encounters in the Bible happened when no one else was watching? That's when hearts break open and tears that have been held back finally flow. There's a reason your soul stirs before the sun rises. It's a divine invitation, not to perform, not to impress, but to be still and to know. To meet the one who sees, who heals, who calls you by name, even when the world forgets. If you've been waking up in those early hours, don't ignore it. There's something he wants to show you, something he's been waiting to say. And if you'll answer him in that quiet, sacred time, you'll begin to experience the kind of transformation that can't be explained, only lived. When your eyes open before the morning light, when the room is quiet and there is no sound but the soft rhythm of your own breath, do not rush to explain it away. Don't reach for your phone. Don't search for distractions. Don't try to understand it with natural reasoning. Surrender your thoughts the moment you awaken, because in that still and sacred hour, there is a gentle knocking at the door of your heart. Something deeper than sleep has been disturbed. Your spirit has been stirred. And you must learn to recognize the voice behind that stirring. You are not waking up at random. Heaven does not deal in accidents. The Father is calling you to be still before the day begins, to lean into a place that the noise of daylight often drowns out. And if you give him your thoughts in those first fragile moments, he will pour into them rivers of living water. Do not let your mind wander into worry. Don't let your thoughts race toward tomorrow or yesterday. Don't rehearse failures or imagine conversations that haven't happened yet. Stop, take a breath, and yield. Say within yourself, Lord, I give you my thoughts. You see them before they reach my tongue. You know them before I do. Cleanse them. Shape them. The mind is a battlefield, but in this hour it can become a sanctuary. Your surrender makes it holy. Every thought that rises, give it to Him. Every burden that lingers, lay it down. There is nothing too small to offer, nothing too tangled that He cannot unravel. You must understand, these are not ordinary moments. This hour is not like the others. When you wake between 3 and 5 in the morning, you are touching a window in the spirit that few recognize. It is not just a call to prayer. It is a call to presence. Not presence in the way the world offers it. Not just being still with your body, but being open in your heart. Letting go of the grip you've held over your plans, your fears, your questions, your longings, and saying quietly, "Speak, Lord, I am listening." This is the hour of visitation, and many miss it. They call it coincidence or insomnia. But something holy is happening. The Lord chooses these quiet, early hours to visit those He loves. He stirs you before the rush, before the world asks for your energy, before your mind fills with decisions. Because He wants your attention unfiltered. He wants your trust unguarded. He wants your surrender unconditioned. And you do not have to know how to pray eloquently. You do not have to perform for Him. You just have to yield. Let this be the moment where your spirit bows in full surrender. Say softly, "My heart is yours. My thoughts are yours. My fears, my failures, my flaws, I place them before you." Do not think He is looking for perfection. He is looking for openness. A heart that is willing. A mind that is ready to be renewed. A soul that says, "Thy will be done." And as you lie there, in the stillness, let the Holy Spirit hover over your thoughts. Invite Him in, not just to touch your mind, but to possess it completely. Let His peace invade every corner of anxiety. Let His truth silence every lie. Say the ancient words that have opened heavens for generations. "Lord, take not Thy Holy Spirit from me. Create in me a clean heart, and renew a right spirit within me." These are not just scriptures. They are living prayers, powerful tools forged in the fire of those who walked before you. Whisper them with reverence, and the room becomes sacred. Your mind becomes an altar. Your thoughts become incense rising to the throne of grace. There is something so precious about the mind when it first wakes. It has not yet been cluttered. It has not yet been tainted. It is soft, tender, open. And that is why the Spirit comes knocking then. He wants to write something on the tablet of your heart before the world gets the pen. But you must surrender. You must yield the right to guide yourself. You must silence every voice but His. And you can. Right there, in the dark. With your eyes still adjusting, you can surrender. You can let go. Let this be your posture. I lay all at your feet, Lord. My day, my mind, my motives, my memories, they are yours. And even if you feel nothing, even if there is no vision or voice, the surrender still matters. The act of trust, the offering of your mind in those first moments, moves heaven. For it is not the feeling that releases power. It is the faith. God honors the heart that says yes when the flesh is tired and the eyes are heavy. That kind of surrender is precious to Him. That kind of faith releases divine intervention. In that early hour, you are standing on holy ground. The rest of the house may be sleeping, but heaven is not. Angels are watching, the Spirit is waiting, and the Father is leaning close. Yield your thoughts. Don't try to figure everything out. Just rest in His presence. Rest in the knowledge that He sees, He knows, and He is near. Surrender not just what you know, but what you don't. And watch what He does with it. When the veil of night still covers the earth, and your spirit stirs in that fragile hour between 3 and 5, there is a longing that calls beyond the noise of your mind. It is not the kind of hour where your words need to be many or rehearsed, but the kind that welcomes the whisper of intimacy. Not the intimacy that demands grand gestures or flawless devotion, but the kind that draws near in silence. The kind that trembles with awe simply because He is near. When you wake and your eyes are heavy but your soul is awake, let your first breath be a whisper toward heaven, not a prayer of routine, but a cry of the heart. There is a sweetness in that hour that cannot be touched in the bustle of the day. No crowds, no schedules, no expectations, just you and the presence. And that is where He longs to meet you, not with demands, but with delight. He is not looking for performance. He is not measuring your holiness. He is listening for the trembling voice that dares to say, I am here. I don't have much, but I'm here. That voice, even broken and unsure, moves His heart, because He does not require perfection to draw near. He requires honesty. A heart open, tender, and willing to be loved. And so you whisper. You don't shout. You don't recite to impress. You simply speak from the deep place. The place only He sees. Your whisper may be no louder than a breath, but it fills the heavens. Jesus, I need You. And it is enough. More than enough. Because that is the prayer of the desperate, the hungry, the yielded. That's what He hears. That's what He responds to. He's not moved by how much you say. He's moved by how deeply you mean it. In those early hours, when the night has not yet lifted, the soul is most bare. That's when the Spirit draws near, not to accuse, but to comfort, not to examine, but to embrace. He is looking for that first turning of your heart toward Him. And when you whisper, the doors of heaven open wide. There is a prayer that arises from this place. A prayer that doesn't come from books or learned phrases, but from a heart that has been humbled by life. A whisper that says, draw me nearer, Lord. I want to know You. I want to feel You close again. You may not know what to pray beyond that, but He understands every syllable, every tear behind the words, every ache that cannot be spoken. And still you whisper, still. You offer your heart. You may find yourself simply saying his name over and over. And there is power in that. Not because of the sound, but because of the surrender behind it. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. With every breath, you are inviting the Holy Spirit to fill the spaces that were once occupied by fear, anxiety, disappointment. And he will come, quietly, tenderly, but undeniably. Because he always responds to hunger. He always honors the whispered invitation of a soul reaching out in faith. Speak as though he is right beside you, because he is. Talk to him not like a distant king, but like the friend who sticks closer than a brother. Tell him your fears, your worries, your hopes, your failings. Hold nothing back. He is not shocked by your weakness. He already carried it. He is not repelled by your failures. He already forgave them. Let your whisper be the bridge that brings your weary soul back into his presence. And if your heart is too burdened for words, let the Spirit pray through you. Say, Holy Spirit, help me. Pray through me. There are groanings that cannot be uttered, but he understands them. There are sighs that become sacred when offered in surrender. And in those moments, what you cannot say, he carries straight to the heart of the Father. That is intimacy. That is communion. That is the kind of prayer that shakes the heavens. There are prayers written long ago, penned by saints who knew the ache of the night and the sweetness of the early hour. Let them rise from your lips now, not as rituals, but as rivers flowing from ancient wells. Lord, I long to dwell in thy presence, to behold thy beauty, to inquire in thy temple. Take all of me, Jesus, my thoughts, my desires, my very breath. Let it all be yours. Breathe on me, breath of God, till I am wholly thine, till every earthly part of me glows with thy fire divine. These are not just words. They are doors. Step through them. Enter in. Let your room become a sanctuary. Let your bed become an altar. Let the quiet of the morning become your holy invitation, because what begins as a whisper becomes a fire. What begins as a trembling prayer becomes a flood. And the one who hears your whisper will answer with the warmth of his presence. You don't need to strive. You don't need to reach higher. You only need to open your heart and whisper, Lord, I am here. I love you. I need you. I want you more than anything. And he will come. He will meet you there. There is something sacred about those early morning hours when all is still and your heart begins to stir with no clear reason. Between 3 and 5, when the world sleeps and the sky is still cloaked in darkness, the Spirit begins to knock gently on the door of your soul. It is not always loud. It is not always clear, but it is persistent. That silent urging to rise, to be still, to listen. And in those moments, you must do what the natural mind resists. You must invite the Holy Spirit to search your heart, not because you have the answers, not because you're ready to fix what's broken, but because only He can illuminate what hides in shadows. These hours are not about discipline. They are about intimacy. And the Holy Spirit never forces. His way in, He waits for your invitation. There is so much that stays buried beneath the noise of the day. Hurts that have never been named. Doubts that have grown roots. Desires you've been afraid to speak out loud. Bitterness that clings to the edges of your joy. In the light of day, we become masters of managing it all. Smiling, working, praying, performing. But in the early morning quiet, those defenses are weaker. That is why the Spirit comes then. Because He does not want the polished version of you. He wants the hidden one, the child within you that still longs to be held, to be known, to be healed. So you say, Holy Spirit, search me. And not because you're afraid of being condemned, but because you're hungry to be free. Let Him walk through every hallway of your heart, the memories, the motives, the places you've shut the doors and turned off the lights. He does not come to expose you in shame. He comes to reveal what needs healing, what needs releasing, what needs to be surrendered. This is a divine inspection, but it is done in gentleness. With every step, He takes through the rooms of your soul. He brings light. He brings peace. He brings truth that does not accuse, but restores. The Word says, Search me, O God, and know my heart, try me, and know my thoughts. It is not a fearful prayer. It is a bold one, because it means you are ready to stop pretending. It means you are ready to be truly known. And what a beautiful thing that is, to be fully known and fully loved at the same time. The Holy Spirit sees everything, every fear, every secret, every unspoken prayer. And yet He still draws near. He still chooses to come and dwell. Not in the cleaned up version of your soul, but in the real you. The one you hide even from yourself. Speak to Him like you would to a friend you trust with your deepest places. Say, Lord, if there is any root of pride, bitterness, or fear, pull it out. If I have hidden offenses, reveal them. If I've held on to things you've asked me to release, show me. I don't want anything to separate me from the fullness of your presence. These words are not just confessions. They are invitations. They open up the soul for divine surgery. And though it may be uncomfortable, it is never unkind. You may begin to feel the stirrings of memories you tried to forget, or emotions you thought you had buried long ago. Let them rise. Don't push them down. Don't rush to silence them. Because the Spirit brings them to the surface not to torment you, but to heal you. When He searches your heart, He is not gathering evidence against you. He is gathering pieces of your heart to restore. He is drawing you into a wholeness that only comes through truth. Truth that says, I see you, and I still love you. I know you, and I still want you. There are prayers written through the centuries that echo this cry. Let them be yours in this sacred hour. Cleanse the thoughts of my heart by the inspiration of thy Holy Spirit, that I may perfectly love thee and worthily magnify thy holy name. Take my heart, for I cannot give it. Keep it, for I cannot hold it for thee. And save me in spite of myself. These are not the prayers of the proud. They are the cries of the broken who have been touched by grace. Let your soul join in that chorus. Even if nothing seems to happen outwardly, know that something powerful is shifting inside. Every time you invite the Holy Spirit to search you, you are making space for heaven to invade your soul. You are allowing the divine to sweep away the dust, the debris, the lies you've believed. You are letting him breathe life into the dry places. You are allowing truth to do what it was always meant to do, set you free. And so you return again and again to that simple whisper, "Search me, Lord." Not because you want to feel spiritual, not because you want an experience, but because you want to walk in purity, in nearness, in power. The closer he gets, the more you see, and the more you see, the more you surrender. Not out of guilt, but out of love. And love always invites the light. Love always makes room for the Spirit to move freely. Love always says, "Come and make me new." There is a kind of listening that doesn't begin with ears, but with the heart. A kind of stillness that silences more than just external noise. It hushes the inner whirlwind. In those early hours between 3 and 5, when the world is quiet and time itself feels slowed, there is a sacred invitation being whispered. It is not the call to strive. It is not the call to speak. It is the call to listen in silence. A silence that is not empty, but full of presence. A silence that prepares the soul to receive what cannot be heard by natural ears. When the Spirit of God desires to reveal the secrets of heaven, he often comes not with thunder, but with a gentle whisper that can only be discerned in stillness. To listen in silence means to lay down the desire to fill space with your own thoughts. It means resisting the urge to make sense of everything, to explain every feeling, to articulate every prayer. It is to acknowledge that sometimes the deepest form of worship is waiting. That sometimes love looks like leaning in, not speaking out. In this kind of silence, the soul bows. The spirit watches. The heart becomes like a blank page, ready for the handwriting of God. There is no rushing in this place. There is no pressure. There is only the humbling awareness that he is near and he has something to say. You do not need to guess what he might be thinking. You do not need to analyze or decode. You only need to be present, to be yielded, to be open. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Those words have echoed through generations, not because they are poetic, but because they are posture. That is the posture of silence that listens, a listening that is more than hearing. It is receiving. It is welcoming the voice that spoke the stars into existence. And though that voice could shake the heavens, in these moments, it speaks softly, intimately, directly to the spirit. This kind of silence is not passive. It is not disengaged. It is alert, expectant, reverent. It is the silence of Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, absorbing every word as though it were water in a dry land. It is the silence of the prophets who trembled before the word of the Lord. It is the silence of the cross, when the sun said nothing, yet redemption was roaring in the unseen realm. This silence is holy, and it demands your full attention. Not because God needs it, but because your soul does. Let the silence teach you. Let it uncover what noise has buried. In silence, the Holy Spirit reveals motives you didn't know you had, wounds you thought were healed, callings you've been too afraid to accept. He speaks to the deep places, the places you've not let others see, the places you've forgotten yourself. And his voice does not bring shame, it brings awakening. His silence is not distance, it is depth. You are not waiting for him to arrive. You are recognizing that he is already here, waiting for your spirit to slow down enough to notice. There are prayers that help usher in this listening. Words penned from lips that knew the value of silence before God. Lord, let me hear what you will speak, for you will speak peace to your people. Still my soul within me, Lord, that I may hear the whisper of thy will. Speak to me in the hush of thy love, and guide me in the quiet of thy truth. These are not prayers of performance. They are doorways. They slow the heart. They prepare the soil. They invite the divine whisper into the chaos of your thoughts. It is not unusual to feel distracted at first. The mind may wander. Thoughts may race. That does not disqualify you. That does not mean he isn't speaking. It means your soul is learning to be still. It means you are learning to discern. The enemy will try to make you believe that if you don't feel anything, you've failed. But the truth is, silence requires faith. Listening requires trust. Sometimes, the most powerful moments in the spirit come when you hear nothing, but you choose to stay anyway. Because that's where depth is built. That's where roots go deeper. That's where communion becomes real. Listening in silence also means surrendering your agenda. You may come with questions, with needs, with desires. But in this place you lay them down. You say, Lord, I came for you, not just your answers. And in that surrender, something shifts. You become more sensitive. Your heart becomes more tender. You begin to sense his presence, not just as a feeling, but as a knowing, a deep inner awareness that he is speaking even in the stillness, that his love is flowing even when your ears hear nothing, that his spirit is working even when your mind cannot comprehend. Let your silence be worship. Let it be a sacrifice of praise that says, even when I don't hear you, I trust you. Even when I don't understand, I wait for you. That is what draws him near. That is what makes the ground holy. When you lay down your need to be in control, when you stop trying to fix or figure, when you simply rest and listen, the veil begins to lift, the atmosphere begins to shift, and suddenly you realize that he has been speaking all along. You just needed to be quiet enough to notice. There is something sacred about the act of writing when your spirit is tender and the morning is still wrapped in silence. In those early hours when you wake, not by accident, but by divine stirring, you are standing at the threshold of holy moments. And if you will take that invitation seriously, if you will quiet your heart and open your soul, you will begin to notice small movements within, gentle impressions, unexpected tears, fleeting thoughts that don't come from your mind alone. These stirrings are not random. They are not just your imagination. They are the breath of God moving upon your heart. And if you don't capture them, they may vanish with the rising sun. That is why you must write, not with the pressure to be profound, not to craft a sermon or create a masterpiece, but to record the whispers that would otherwise be lost in the noise of the day. Writing in those hours is not about eloquence. It is about obedience. It is saying to the Spirit, I value what you say. I will not take lightly what you show me. I will remember. You may not understand it all at once. You may not even know what it means yet. But the act of writing down what stirs in your spirit is an act of faith. It is planting seeds you don't yet recognize, trusting that in time they will grow. The pages of your journal may not seem holy, but they are altars. They hold evidence that God visited you in the quiet. And long after the feeling fades, what you wrote will remain. There is a power in returning to what you recorded. A sentence you wrote in weakness may become your strength in the next season. A phrase that felt simple may become a prophetic word over your life. And sometimes in the future, when you feel distant from God, you will read what you wrote in these early morning hours and realize He was speaking all along. He never left. He was closer than your breath. You must train your spirit to recognize these moments. Sometimes what rises is not a full revelation, but a single word. Write it. Sometimes it's a question you cannot answer. Write that too. Lord, why am I feeling this? What are you asking of me? What do you want to heal in me? These questions may not be resolved immediately, but they are holy in themselves. God responds to hunger. He responds to hearts that seek. And when you write them down, you are marking the moment. You are creating space for Him to answer. There are prayers that guide the pen when the heart is too overwhelmed to find its own words. Lord, write your law upon the tablets of my heart, that I may never depart from you. Teach me to number my days, that I may gain a heart of wisdom. Reveal unto me the path of life, and let thy word be a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. These are not just poetic prayers. They are blueprints. They invite the Spirit to guide what you write, to direct what you reflect upon, to deepen what you receive. You do not need to edit yourself in these pages. You do not need to filter your honesty. The Spirit is not looking for polished thoughts. He is looking for yielded hearts. So write with vulnerability. Write your doubts. Write your fears. Write your questions. And then, in the same breath, write your trust. Write your surrender. Write your yes. Because the act of journaling in the Spirit is not just a practice of recording. It is a dialogue. It is a partnership. It is the blending of your soul and His voice on paper. And do not be surprised when, as you write, you begin to hear Him more clearly. Something happens when your pen moves in faith. A flow begins. Words come that you didn't plan. Thoughts arise that comfort, challenge, correct, or confirm. It is the Holy Spirit breathing into your mind, using your surrendered hand to inscribe heaven's response. Some of the most profound direction in life does not come through loud encounters, but through still mornings and faithful writing. This is how many of the prophets heard. This is how the saints were led. They listened. They wrote. They obeyed. Even if you don't feel spiritual, even if your heart feels dry, write anyway. Because obedience is more powerful than emotion. Some of the clearest revelations come on the days when you feel nothing but choose to listen anyway. That's when the heavens open in ways you cannot measure in the moment. And one day you'll look back and realize it was on that day when you wrote through the silence that something eternal was deposited in your soul. You are not writing to remember for yourself only. You are writing for the generations that will follow. What you receive in these hidden hours may become the testimony someone else needs in their darkest night. Your written obedience could be the seed of another's freedom. The way God speaks to you in the quiet may become the voice that awakens someone else when their spirit grows cold. That is why you must write. Let your journaling be a form of worship. Let every word be soaked in surrender. Let it become a habit of humility. Lord, I open my heart to you. Write in me what pleases you. Shape me by your whispers. I am listening. These are not just lines in a notebook. They are the record of a life that seeks, that waits, that honors the unseen. They are the marks of someone who knows the value of what happens before the world wakes up. And when you live like that, when you write like that, Your life becomes a living scroll of His faithfulness. There is a holy weight that rests upon the hours before the sun rises, a weight that presses gently upon the soul, inviting you into something deeper than routine or religion. When your spirit is awakened between 3 and 5 in the morning, and you find yourself stirred without knowing why, it is not a random interruption. It is a divine summoning. And in those sacred moments, one of the most powerful things you can do is interceding for others, for your family, for your nation, for the weary souls you may never meet. This hour is not just for you to receive. It is a time to stand in the gap, to become a voice, a vessel, a watchman on the wall. It is sacred ground. And the prayers you release in this hidden place are not small. They move through eternity like waves, touching places your feet may never go. When you intercede, you take your eyes off yourself and lift your heart on behalf of another. It is the language of love in its most sacrificial form. You carry burdens that are not your own. You groan for healing that you may never see. You weep for souls that don't know they are lost. This kind of prayer is born in the Spirit. It is not forced. It is not dramatic. It is the quiet ache of heaven being shared with you. God looks for those willing to feel what He feels, to pray what He prays, to stand where others have fallen. And when you say yes, even in weakness, even in tears, He begins to pour through you. Sometimes you may not have names or faces, just an unshakable burden. A weight that settles over your heart. A name whispered in your mind. A sudden urgency to pray for a place or a people group. Don't ignore it. That is the Spirit inviting you into partnership. You may never know this side of heaven, what your prayer accomplished, but heaven knows. Angels respond. Darkness trembles. Chains break in secret because you said yes in silence. Intercession in the early morning is not about shouting or striving. It is about alignment. You align your heart with God's. You ask Him, "Who is on your heart, Lord? Show me where you want to move. Use me as your intercessor." And He will. He will begin to press names upon your spirit. He will begin to bring images to your mind. Friends, pastors, nations, even enemies. And you must be ready to carry them before the throne. This is not about feeling powerful. It is about being faithful. It is about understanding that what you pray in secret will be answered in public. There are prayers that can guide you when your own words fail. Lord, let your mercy reach the one who is furthest from you this morning. Raise up laborers for the harvest. Send revival where there is spiritual drought. Open the eyes of the blind and break the chains of the bound. Cover the weary and the wounded. Lift the heavy hearts. Shelter the orphaned and the forgotten. And send comfort where there is despair. Teach my hands to war and my fingers to fight, not in anger, but in the Spirit. Let me carry your burdens until they become testimonies of deliverance. You may feel small in the moment, your voice no louder than a whisper in the dark. But in the spirit, you are thundering through the atmosphere. Your faith is building highways for the miraculous. Your prayers are releasing answers into motion. You are shifting destinies, even when you don't know it. And God keeps record of every tear you shed in intercession. Every word you offer on behalf of someone else is a seed sown in heaven's soil. And the harvest will come, whether you see it or not. There is something deeply beautiful about interceding for those who will never know you did. That is the heart of Jesus. He stands at the right hand of the Father, ever interceding for us. And when you rise in the night to do the same, you are becoming like Him. You are stepping into a priestly role, offering prayers like incense before the throne. This is where transformation begins, not just for others, but for you. Intercession shapes you. It softens you. It teaches you to love without limits and to pray without ceasing. There may be times when your spirit begins to groan, when there are no words left, just deep cries rising from your inner being. Do not hold them back. That is the Spirit Himself interceding through you. You are yielding your voice to heaven's language. You are releasing prayers that bypass your understanding but hit the heart of God with precision. Holy Spirit, pray through me. I do not know what to say, but I yield to you. Use my weakness as a vessel for your glory. That is where the power flows, not from eloquence, but from surrender. Write down the names He gives you. Journal the burdens. Record the impressions. Not because you need to remember everything, but because you are honoring what He has entrusted to you. And as you write, you will begin to see patterns. You will notice when prayers are answered. You will trace the fingerprints of God in the lives of others and realize you were part of their miracle. Do not despise the small moments. Do not underestimate the quiet prayers. The greatest spiritual battles are often won in the secret place, long before anyone sees the breakthrough. You may never be known for these hours, but heaven knows, heaven sees. Heaven moves at the sound of your voice, because it is the voice of one who said yes to the call of intercession, and that yes changes everything.